Big important principle and good analogy to use is that of what we call a bank account. So, okay, if you're familiar with the work of Professor Stuart McGill, you'll understand this analogy kind of applied to the nature of a disc bulge or a herniation, whereby, you basically your back as a sort of fixed bank account for flexion. Every time you encounter flexion, you make a slight withdrawal. All is good until you kind of exceed your bank account and start to go into overdraft, and then we start to freshen that disc bulge or that herniation. Now, we can apply that idea to pretty much any back injury, most injuries in the body, full stop, to be honest, when it's based from a movement and posture perspective. So again, this is a good analogy to use, and it helps explain, especially if you tend to get good days versus bad days, it'll kind of demystify it for you and make it a bit easier to understand. So if you demystify things, you tend to feel you've got a bit more control over it. So let's say on a good day, you start to feel fresh in the morning, the bank account's nice and full. But as the day goes on, there's small little posture and movement habits that make little withdrawals on that bank account. Perhaps your office chair isn't too good, or it's a big commute to work, or you do an active job where there's lots of awkward bends and twists and things that are kind of expensive for the back. Day goes on, we're starting to get a little bit low, and then maybe you're trying to do the right thing, you go to the gym, you do some squats or a deadlift or something, and then before you know it, because your form's off, you drain that bank account to zero, and then before you know it, you're back to square one with your back pain all fresh and irritated and kind of getting nowhere with it. But again, if you understand that idea of the bank account, what we need to do as a kind of a step one is to start to remove all those pain triggers and aggravators that make those withdrawals in the first place. Because again, the bigger the bank account, the better your back's going to feel, and the more success you'll have with any sort of exercise or rehab plan that you're trying to undertake. So, if we start to, let's say for example, flexion is one of your pain triggers, like excessive flexion is one of your pain triggers. So you start off nice in the morning, you feel pretty good, and then you have a commute on a bus or a train or the car, and you use a bit of lumbar support. It makes a little withdrawal, but nowhere near as bad as it used to be. And then we change your office chair, or maybe we give you a bit of a stand-up desk, or give you the option to rotate between sitting and standing. So you get to the end of the day, you've still got quite a bit of bank account left, you feel pretty good, and now you go to the gym and do your deadlifts, and your form's pretty good, and you make a slight withdrawal, but you get to the end of the day, and you've still got all that bank account left. You're going to feel way better and have a way better time if you can preserve that bank account. So again, that bank account analogy is a very powerful tool to kind of demystify back pain if you have good versus bad days, or even better times of the day versus worse times of the day, if you what that bank account's up to and what your pain triggers and aggravators are that make withdrawals on that bank account. So again, first thing you always need to do is identify what your pain triggers, what your aggravators are that make withdrawals on that bank account. Very important, because once we give you that, you've now got a little bit of control straight away over your back pain and how things feel. And then, people that have been dealing with back pain for a long time, one of the worst things is feeling like you're completely powerless and you don't understand it. Getting your head around this analogy and understanding what your aggravators are will give you those sort of first steps to control and make you feel like there's there's light at the end of the tunnel. So very important. Think of it like a bank account. On a bad day, try and think what are the things you would have done that would have drained that bank account. And on a good day, how did you change your movement habits to spare that bank account? Again, understand that, you're already halfway there to controlling your back pain for good.